The sun was high in the sky, and the small grocery store buzzed with activity. People hurried in and out, pushing carts, chatting softly, and scanning shelves for their daily needs. The sound of the cash registers, mixed with the murmurs of customers, made the store feel alive and busy. Behind one of the counters stood Ahmed, a young cashier. He was in his early 20s, with kind eyes and a calm smile that he kept even when the line grew long. Ahmed loved his job, not because of the money, but because he liked seeing people smile. Today, like any other day, he scanned items quickly and greeted customers warmly. As Ahmed worked, his attention was caught by a small figure near the end of the line. An old woman stood there quietly. She looked poor and tired. Her clothes were worn, and her thin hands nervously counted a handful of coins over and over. The woman's eyes were soft but full of worry. Ahmed noticed her basket was full, almost overflowing, with fruits, vegetables, bread, and a few canned goods. It was clear she had carefully picked things for a full meal. But as the line moved forward, Ahmed saw something that made his heart sink. The old woman stopped counting her coins. She looked up at the cashier, then down at the basket again. Her lips pressed tightly together, and her eyes filled with a quiet sadness. She reached into the basket and picked up a loaf of bread. Slowly, she placed it back on the shelf. Then, after a moment, she picked up a can of beans and returned that. To Ahmed's heart pounded. The woman was trying to put things back because she didn't have enough money to pay for everything. He watched her hands shake slightly. Her eyes darted around, hoping no one was watching her struggle. The line behind her grew longer. Some people glanced over but quickly looked away, busy with their own errands. The old woman seemed invisible to most. Ahmed felt a rush of emotions, sympathy, kindness, and a sudden desire to help. But he was also unsure. Would it be right? Could he help without embarrassing her? What if she refused? What if others noticed? The moment came when the woman finally reached the counter. She placed the remaining items on the conveyor belt, her fingers trembling. Ahmed started scanning the products one by one, his eyes never leaving hers. When he announced the total, the woman quietly began counting her coins again, her hands slower this time. The total was more than what she had. She hesitated, looking down. Her lips moved silently as if asking for help, but no words came out. Ahmed's chest tightened. He reached under the counter, took out his wallet, and quietly paid the rest of the money needed. The woman blinked, confused at first. She looked at Ahmed, then at the cashier machine, then back to him. "No," she whispered, shaking her head, softly. "I can't accept this." Ahmed smiled gently. "It's okay," he said softly. "Please don't worry about it." Her eyes filled with tears, and she covered her mouth. She tried to say thank you, but the words got caught in her throat. The small crowd that had gathered at the front of the store watched quietly. Some smiled warmly at Ahmed's kindness. Others wiped tears away. No one said a word. The woman took her basket and moved slowly toward the door. She paused, then looked back at Ahmed once more. There was something in her eyes, a deep, grateful sadness mixed with hope. Outside, she walked toward the street. Ahmed watched her go, wondering about her story. Who was she? Why did she need help? And why did this moment feel so important? As the door closed behind her, the noise of the store returned to normal. People returned to their shopping, conversations, and lives. But Ahmed stood there for a moment longer, holding the coins in his hand, feeling the weight of a kindness he had never planned but was glad he gave. What would happen next? Would the woman ever return? Would this small act change both their lives forever? The day after Ahmed paid for the old woman's groceries, the grocery store felt different to him. It was the same place, with the same sounds, the beep of the scanner, the chatter of customers. But something had changed. Ahmed couldn't stop thinking about the woman. What was her story? Why was she so careful with money? And why had she reacted the way she did when he helped her? He hoped she was okay. That afternoon, as Ahmed was finishing his shift, a customer came up to the counter. She was a young woman, dressed nicely but with a curious look on her face. "Excuse me," the woman said quietly. Did you see the old lady who was here yesterday? The one you helped? Ahmed nodded slowly. Yes, I remember her. Why? Why? Young woman smiled faintly, but there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. I think I know who she is, but you won't believe it. Ahmed was curious now. Tell me, who is she? The young woman looked around, then leaned closer. That woman, she is very rich, a millionaire. Ahmed's eyes widened. What? But she looked so poor. She was counting coins. The woman nodded. Yes, that's what surprised me too. But she doesn't want people to know who she really is. She hides her money and lives quietly. Ahmed was silent for a moment. The idea was hard to believe. Why would a rich woman act like she had no money? Why come to a small grocery store and worry about coins? Before Ahmed could ask more, the woman finished her shopping and left. Ahmed stayed behind the counter, lost in thought. Later that evening, the old woman returned to the store, but this time she did something strange. Instead of coming inside, she stood outside near the parking lot. She looked around nervously, as if afraid someone might see her. Ahmed noticed her from the window. She held the same picture she had with her yesterday. A small, worn photograph of a younger woman and a child smiling together. Suddenly, the woman's eyes filled with tears. She looked up at the sky, then closed her eyes tightly. Then slowly, she reached into her coat and pulled out a small envelope. Ahmed watched as she slipped the envelope under the door of the grocery store just near the entrance. Before she could walk away, a shiny black car pulled into the parking lot. The woman looked startled and hurried to get inside. Ahmed's heart raced. Who was this woman? What was inside the envelope, and why was she so afraid of being seen? The next morning, Ahmed found the envelope taped under the counter. He hesitated, but then carefully opened it. Inside was a letter, written in careful handwriting. Dear Ahmed, thank you for your kindness. You did not know who I was, but your heart saw a person in need. I have watched many people, some turn away, some judge, but you acted with pure kindness. I want to meet you and tell you my story. If you are willing, come to 12 Rosewood Lane tomorrow at noon. Ahmed held the letter in his hands. His mind raced with questions and excitement. Who was M? Was this the old woman? Should he go? Was it safe? His heart told him yes. The next day, he left the store early and walked to the address. A large, beautiful house stood before him. The gates opened slowly, and Ahmed felt nervous but curious as he stepped inside. He saw the old woman again, but now she was dressed in expensive clothes. Her hair was neat and she smiled warmly. Ahmed, she said softly, thank you for coming. Ahmed smiled, but his eyes were full of questions. She looked at him kindly. My name is Mariam, she said, and I want to tell you why I needed to meet you. Ahmed listened carefully as Mariam began to tell her story. Ahmed stood quietly in the grand living room of Mariam's house. The walls were decorated with beautiful paintings, and expensive furniture filled every corner. This was very different from the small grocery store where he worked. Mariam smiled gently and invited Ahmed to sit down on a soft chair. Her eyes looked kind but serious. I want to tell you my story, she said softly. Ahmed nodded, eager to listen. Mariam took a deep breath. Many years ago, I had everything. Money, a big house, and a family who loved me. But I lost it all suddenly and painfully. Ahmed leaned forward, curious. I made many mistakes, Mariam continued. I trusted the wrong people. My business failed, and my family left me. I was alone with no one to help. I lost my home and my money. Ahmed's heart ached for her. I lived on the streets for months, Mariam said, her voice trembling. I learned what it feels like to be invisible, like nobody cares. She looked at Ahmed. That's why I come here, to see the world through different eyes, to find out who is truly kind without expecting anything in return. Ahmed was silent. He understood now why Mariam looked poor in the grocery store. Your kindness surprised me, Ahmed, Mariam said, because you did not know me. You just saw a person who needed help. Ahmed felt a warm feeling inside. I didn't. Do it for a reward, he said simply. Mariam smiled. I know, that's why I want to offer you something special. Ahmed's eyes widened. What is it? I want to give you a chance to work with me, Mariam said. I have a company and I need someone honest and kind, someone like you. Ahmed felt both excited and nervous. Me? I'm just a cashier. Mariam shook her head. Sometimes, the most important qualities are not about education or money. It's about heart and honesty. Ahmed looked down, thinking, could his life really change so suddenly? Before he could answer, Mariam added, but first, I want to see how you handle a challenge. Ahmed looked up, confused. A challenge? Yes, Mariam said. I will give you a task to manage part of my business for 1 week. You will meet new people and make important decisions. Ahmed felt a mixture of fear and hope. It would not be easy, but it was a chance to prove himself. Mariam smiled kindly. I believe in you. As Ahmed left the mansion, his mind was full of questions and dreams. What kind of challenge awaited him? Could he really succeed? The small act of kindness at the grocery store had opened a door to a new life, and Ahmed was ready to walk through it. Ahmed woke up early the next morning. His heart was pounding with nervous excitement. Today was the first day of the challenge Mariam had given him. He dressed carefully, putting on his best clothes. Though he was still the same humble cashier, inside, he felt a new strength. At noon, Ahmed arrived at Mariam's company building. It was a tall, shiny glass building, very different from the small grocery store where he worked. Mariam was waiting for him at the entrance. She smiled warmly and handed him a folder. This is your first task, she said. Read it carefully. Ahmed opened the folder and saw papers with numbers, schedules, and names. It was a list of employees and their duties. Some employees had complaints, and there were problems with orders and deliveries. Ahmed felt overwhelmed. He didn't know much about business, but he wanted to try his best. Mariam placed a hand on his shoulder. Remember, Ahmed, this is not just about numbers. It is about people. Treat everyone with kindness and respect. Ahmed nodded and walked inside. The employees were surprised to see a new manager so soon. Some were friendly. Others looked doubtful. Ahmed met Sarah, the head of the delivery team. She was strict and didn't trust him at first. You don't know how things work here, she said. You'll make mistakes. Ahmed stayed calm. I want to learn and help. Please give me a chance. The first day was full of small problems. Orders were delayed, workers argued, and some customers were unhappy. Ahmed listened carefully to every complaint. He did his best to find solutions. When a delivery truck broke down, he helped call another one. When workers argued, he talked calmly and made peace. By the end of the day, Ahmed felt tired but proud. Back at home, he thought about the day. It was harder than he expected, but he remembered Mariam's words. Kindness and respect were most important. The next days passed quickly. Ahmed faced more challenges. Some employees tried to trick him. Others tested his patience. But Ahmed never gave up. He treated everyone fairly. Slowly, people started to trust him. One afternoon, Mariam visited the office. She watched silently as Ahmed spoke kindly to a worried employee. After the meeting, Mariam smiled. You are doing well, Ahmed, but there is one more test. Ahmed looked at her. What is it? Tomorrow you will meet my business partners. They will judge your skills. This meeting will decide your future here. Ahmed's heart raced. The biggest challenge was yet to come. That night, Ahmed stayed awake, practicing how to speak clearly and confidently. He knew the meeting could change everything. Would he pass the test? Could kindness and honesty win in the world of business? Only time would tell. The next morning, Ahmed felt nervous but ready. Today was the day he would meet Mariam's business partners, the people who could decide if he would stay and work with her. He put on his best shirt and took a deep breath before entering the big conference room. The room was full of serious faces, men and women dressed in expensive suits sitting behind a long table. Their eyes looked sharp and judging. Mariam was there too, sitting quietly at the head of the table. She gave Ahmed a small, encouraging smile. Ahmed stood in front of them and began to speak. He told them about his work so far, how he listened to the employees, helped solve problems, and kept kindness in every decision. Some of the partners looked doubtful. One man, Mr. Khan, leaned forward and said sharply, "Ahmed, this is business, not a charity. How can you lead a company if you focus more on feelings than profits?" Ahmed stayed calm. "I believe that kindness and honesty lead to better work. When people feel respected, they work harder and stay loyal. This helps the company grow." The partners continued asking questions. They wanted to see if Ahmed was ready for the responsibility. One woman, Ms. Ali, smiled softly and said, "Ahmed, you have shown great heart. But do you have the experience to handle bigger problems?" Ahmed thought for a moment. "No, I don't have much experience. But I'm willing to learn, and I will never stop trying my best." Mariam stood up and spoke to the partners. "Ahmed may not have a fancy degree or many years of experience, but he has something rare, true kindness and honesty. These are the qualities we need." After a long discussion, the partners left the room. Ahmed waited anxiously. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, Mariam returned with a smile. "You did very well," she said. "They have decided to give you a chance. You will work here with my support." Ahmed felt a wave of relief and happiness. His hard work had paid off, but Mariam was serious. "Remember, this is only the beginning. You will face many challenges, but I believe in you." Over the next weeks, Ahmed worked harder than ever. He learned about business, met new people, and helped the company grow. He never forgot the lesson Mariam taught him, that kindness is a powerful force. One day, Ahmed received a letter in the mail. It was from the old woman he helped at the grocery store, the woman who had invited him into her life. The letter said, "Thank you for changing my life. Now I want to help you change yours." Ahmed smiled. He knew this was just the start of a new journey. Weeks passed and Ahmed's life was changing quickly. Every day was a new challenge, but also a new chance to grow. Mariam's trust gave him courage he never had before. One afternoon, as Ahmed was working late at the office, Mariam called him into her private study. The room was quiet, filled with books and soft light from a desk lamp. She smiled warmly. "Ahmed, I have something for you." Ahmed felt a mix of surprise and curiosity. Mariam reached into a small box and pulled out an old key attached to a simple chain. "This key," she said, "opens the door to my old family home. It has been empty for years." Ahmed looked at the key, wondering what it meant. Mariam explained, "That house holds memories and secrets. It was once full of love and happiness, but after I lost everything, I had to leave it behind." She paused, then said, "I want you to take care of it, to fix it, to make it a home again. This is a symbol of new beginnings." Ahmed felt honored, but also overwhelmed. The house was big, old, and needed a lot of work. Could he do it? Mariam smiled kindly. "You are not alone. I will help you." That weekend, Ahmed visited the old house for the first time. The garden was wild and overgrown. The paint on the walls was peeling. Windows were dusty, and the door creaked as he opened it with the key. Inside, the air smelled of dust and memories. He could almost hear laughter and voices from long ago. Ahmed walked through the empty rooms slowly, imagining the family who once lived there. The house was quiet, but it spoke to him in a strange way. He was waiting for someone to bring it back to life. Ahmed decided to start fixing the house little by little. He cleaned the rooms, fixed broken windows, and painted the walls. Neighbors began to notice and smiled when they saw him working hard. One day, Mariam came to visit. She brought food and helped Ahmed clean the garden. As they worked together, Mariam shared more of her past, how the house was a place of joy before everything changed. Ahmed listened and felt even more connected to her story. Slowly, the house began to change. It became warm and welcoming again. One evening, as Ahmed locked the door, he found a small box on the porch. Inside was a photo album filled with pictures of Mariam's family. Ahmed realized this was more than just a house. It was a chance to heal old wounds and build new hope. As he looked at the photos, he felt grateful for the journey that had started with a simple act of kindness in a grocery store, and he knew this was only the beginning. The old house was no longer empty or forgotten. It was alive again, filled with laughter and light. Ahmed and Mariam had worked hard to bring it back to life, and their efforts were beginning to show. Ahmed stood on the porch one evening, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. The gentle breeze carried the scent of fresh flowers from the garden they had planted together. Mariam joined him, smiling softly. "You have done more than I ever dreamed, Ahmed." Ahmed looked at her, feeling proud but humble. "It was your story and trust that gave me strength." For the first time in years, Mariam felt hope. She knew she could trust Ahmed not only with her home but with her heart. Their friendship had grown into something rare and beautiful, a bond of kindness and respect. But Ahmed's journey was not just about fixing a house or winning a job. It was about discovering who he was and what he could become. One afternoon, Ahmed received a call from the grocery store manager. The store wanted to honor him for his kindness and hard work. They planned a small ceremony to celebrate his journey. Ahmed was surprised and happy. He never expected so much attention. On the day of the ceremony, the grocery store was filled with people, neighbors, friends, and even some new faces who had heard his story. Mariam was there too, standing quietly with a proud smile. As Ahmed spoke about his journey, he shared the lesson he had learned. Kindness is a gift that grows when you share it. After the ceremony, Mariam took Ahmed aside. She held out a small box with a simple ribbon. "Ahmed," she said, "this is for you." Inside was a key, different from the one to the old house. This key opened the doors to Mariam's company, symbolizing a new chapter in Ahmed's life. "I want you to know," Mariam said softly, "that your kindness changed not only my life but many others. This is just the beginning." Ahmed felt tears in his eyes. He promised himself that he would never forget where he came from or the kindness that started it all. As the sun set that evening, Ahmed looked at the city skyline and smiled. His life had changed because of one small act, a moment of kindness that had opened doors to hope, trust, and a new tomorrow. And he knew, deep in his heart, that no matter what happened next, he would always carry that kindness with him.